So don't mind my messy hair, wet hair. I took this rare opportunity of the baby sleeping to take a shower. So it's amazing what 20 uninterrupted minutes of shower time can do for your mental health. So I guess I don't even know why I'm really doing this video, but I guess because I am always super appreciative and thankful for people that are transparent about their lives and struggles, and and also just good things that happen in their lives. It's always, I feel like community is really important in lots of aspects. So I kind of just wanted to share a little bit about what our journey has been with our 5.5-year-old son Nolan, in hopes that maybe we can share stories, share ideas, things that work, just moments of just I am at my wit's end, things like that. So like I said, I think that community is just really important, and I think that the only way that we can get through things sometimes is with each other, and with the collaboration of ideas. So I guess this is about our odd journey, ODD, oppositional defiant disorder. And if you know what that is, then obviously you probably have a child or that has that disorder or has been diagnosed, or maybe you work in the mental health community or things like that. So we have known forever that our son Nolan, who's 5.5, is not different, but something was different about him. He was a really difficult baby, starting from the very beginning, and I know everybody has issues with sleeping, and some babies are colicky, but it was different. I feel like for us, he didn't sleep, and he didn't want to be held, but he also didn't want to be put down, and it was a struggle for the first year of his life. And then we got the sleeping down pat, so that was a reprieve for us in terms of just constantly having to be focused on him. But then it went into toddlerhood, which maybe wasn't as difficult as the babyhood, but as he's gotten older, it has gotten to be an extreme struggle with his behavior. And before I became a parent and I saw those kids throwing fits in the supermarket, or heard stories of just kids that just weren't behaving, I thought, what's the parent doing? And it has to be the parent's fault. It can't be anything to do with the child. And I've always been kind of a judgmental person in general, but I definitely judged people. I worked for about a year and a half with the juvenile delinquent community, and a lot of those kids were diagnosed with oppositional defiant, and I thought, oh, it's just parents that weren't involved and didn't reprimand their children, and now they have an out of hand kid. And in some cases that was partly true, but now that I have a child who is extremely high needs, and has oppositional defiant, I know that it isn't just as simple as I thought it was. So those of you who don't know what oppositional defiant is, it's just an extreme behavioral problem. Excessive arguing with adults, not listening, going out of their way to not listen, going out of their way to annoy of authority figures, just constant behavioral disorders, or things like that. And I know that a lot of you are thinking, oh, well, yeah, he's a kid. That happens. But it's different when it's constant. It's a constant struggle every day, and when it affects your absolute everyday life, not just 2 or 3, 4 tantrums a day, but every day, all day. And I want to say that he is also just an amazing little boy. His empathy is through the roof. He doesn't like to see people in pain or hurting or sad. He's very sweet with his little brother, which we are so thankful for. We thought after Tanner was born, who will be 4 months in just a week, we thought, oh no, he's going to be jealous. He's going to be mean. But he isn't. He's just the most loving little boy with his little brother, and we're so thankful for that. There's so many amazing things about Nolan. He's smart. He's incredibly smart. He's funny, like actually really funny. He's a funny kid. So we have really good points in our day with him, but every day is still a struggle. And so basically, what the psychologist who we've been seeing has told us is that it's basically on us to try to find ways to curb his behavior. And what we're finding is that he's so high needs. He needs attention all the time. His teacher says that too. Just all the time, he has to have constant attention, and we're trying to condition him in ways that he doesn't always need our attention. But to me, it just doesn't make sense because it's like, well, by trying to curb his behavior, we're feeding into the attention. Okay, Nolan, it's constant, like little bits at a time. Like if you can go 5 minutes, now let's do 10 minutes. And when you work all day and you have another little one and you have a household and you have all these things, like it just seems like we're still feeding into that. Like, if we're just every 5 minutes giving him another goal, isn't that constantly giving him attention and feeding into that? And so we're kind of just at our wits' end. We're tired, and now the baby isn't sleeping, and so that adds to it, obviously. But it's really hard. It's really hard every day. And for me personally, I'm I'm an introvert by nature. I crave solitude, and I crave just my alone time of not having to have constantly a focus on something. And that sounds really selfish, and it is. I would be the first to admit that it's an extremely selfish tendency that I have, that I have to like go away, whether it's physically or mentally, to to function. And for somebody who actually really likes solitude, to have a child who hates it and needs constant attention, who's inherently completely different than who I am, it's even more difficult, I feel like, on my end, because I'm parenting someone who is completely the opposite of who I am, and that's also an additional struggle for myself. So I know how incredibly lucky we are to have a healthy, loving, sweet little boy, and I know all that, and I hope that this doesn't sound whiny or that I'm ungrateful for all that he is, but we are just really kind of struggling in lots of arenas in our life, in our parenting style, in our just every day. I find myself yelling way more than I want to. I find myself being angry on a level that I didn't think I could be with a 5-year-old. Like I'm really angry with him, and I really try every day I wake up. Today's the day where I'm not going to yell, and I'm not going to let this completely consume me. And by dinner time, even though I work, you would be surprised how quickly it can get to you. So I guess this is just an outreach of, is anybody else dealing with this? Do you have any ideas? Do you have any just stories you want to share of your own? I would be really welcome to hearing your own struggles, whether maybe you've even figured anything else out, but just knowing that we're not alone, I think is important too. So here's our odd journey, maybe volume 1. This might be the only volume that I make, but I'd like to continue this to just try to give updates on how we're doing, maybe things that have worked for us, things that we have totally tanked at, in hopes that maybe we can, go through this stuff together. So, all right, take care. Bye.